This is part 2 of 10 surprising Muslim discoveries and inventions, and it is way overdue. So you guys really love the first one. So what's going on, everybody? My name is Leroy Kenton and you're watching FTD Facts. Now I have a link to part 1 if you haven't seen that one before. The link is down below. Now I got 10 more inventions and discoveries coming up, so make sure you watch this video all the way till the end so you don't miss any of them. Okay, so starting off with number 10. We have universities. Fatima al-Furaya was an Arab Muslim who is credited for founding the oldest existing, continually operating, and first educational institution in the world to award degrees. This is the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez, Morocco. When Fatima's father passed away, he left some money behind for her and her sister, and she used her inheritance to build the university. It started off as a mosque and it later grew into a place for education. Now there were a lot of different subjects such as astrology, chemistry, grammar, algebra, medicine, and music. All of that was taught at this university. The library that was founded at the university contains more than 4,000 manuscripts, as well as 9th century Quran and the earliest collection of hadith, which are the record and traditions or sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. At number 9, we have the crankshaft. Many of the basics of modern automatics were first put to use in the Muslim world, including the revolutionary crank connecting rod system. So by converting rotary motion, which is motion revolving around a center or an axis, to linear motion, the crank enables the lift of heavy objects more easily. The technology was discovered by Al-Jazari in the 12th century and it continued to spread globally, and that's why we have things like bicycles as well as the internal combustion engine. Pointed arches come in at number 8. So these pointed arches, they're really characteristic of Europe's Gothic cathedrals, but it was actually an invention that was borrowed from Islamic architecture. It was much stronger than the rounded arch used by Romans, thus allowing the building to be made bigger and higher as well as more complex. Europe's castles also were modified to be more like the buildings in the Islamic world. The windmill was another invention attributed to the Islamic world. So the windmill was invented in 634 for a Persian caliph, and initially electricity wasn't made from these windmills. Instead, they were used to grind corn as well as draw up water for irrigation. In Arabia, when the water streams ran dry, the only source of power was the wind. These windmills had 6 or 12 sails, and it was about 500 years before the first windmill was seen in Europe. Now we got vaccination. So most of us were taught in school that inculcation or vaccination was invented by Edward Jenner and Louis Pasteur. It was actually Muslims who first came up with this technique, which was later brought to Europe from Turkey by the wife of the English ambassador in the year 1724. Children in Turkey were vaccinated with cowpox to fight the deadly smallpox at least 50 years before the West had discovered it. Halfway in, we got rocket and torpedoes. Although the Chinese invented saltpeter gunpowder and used it in their fireworks, it was actually the Arabs who worked out that it could be purified using potassium nitrate and be used for military purposes. By the 15th century, they had invented both a rocket, which they called a self-moving and combusting egg, and also they invented a torpedo, which was a self-propelled pear-shaped bomb with a spear at the front of it, which allowed it to impale enemy ships and then explode. Now this one was really surprising. Paychecks. So the modern paychecks comes from the Arabs because trading was a popular profession of the 9th century. So a written vow to pay for goods when they were delivered was developed by a Muslim businessman. So anyone could cash a check in China that was from a bank in Baghdad, let's say. Now this was done in order to avoid money having to be transported across lands that was dangerous because you risk them getting stolen in transit. Shampoo comes in at number 3. So washing and bathing are required for Muslims to pray, which is perhaps why they really perfected the recipe for soap that is still used today. Hazrat Salih, he's known to have invented soap as we know it today. The ancient Egyptians had soap of a sort, as well as the Romans did, but it was the Arab Muslims who combined vegetable oils and sodium hydroxide as well as scented ingredients. And the shampoo was introduced to England by a Muslim who opened Muhammad's Indian vapor bath in the year 1759. We're coming down close to the end of this video. Number 2 brings us world maps. So have you seen this 12th century map of the Andalusian cartographer Al-Idrisi? He lived from 1100 to 1166. This map was first produced in Sicily and is seen as the most complete description of the world that was made in medieval times. It was used a lot by travelers for centuries, and it contained detailed descriptions of the Christian world as well as the Islamic world and also Africa and other places. Now the number 1 Muslim discovery and invention is astronomical computers. Miriam al-Idliya is famous for constructing astrolabes, which were used to determine the position of the sun and the planets, and were in turn used in the field of astronomy, astrology, as well as horoscopes. During the 10th century in Aleppo, Syria, she created designs that were so intricate from 944 to 967 AD that she was hired by the ruler of the city, Saif al-Dawla. Alright guys, so those are all the discoveries and inventions I have for you in this episode. Did any of them surprise you? Let me hear all your thoughts and comments down below. And if you have any requests for future FTD Facts episodes, also leave them down below as well. Alright guys, so before you get out of here, you gotta check out this video right here. It's similar to the one that you just saw, so if you enjoyed this, you'll definitely love this one. Also, my social media links are below in the video description section, so follow me, shoot me a message over there, and I'll do my best to reply as quickly as possible. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell to join the FTD Facts family and keep up with our daily episodes. Until next time, I'll see you soon.